Hello everyone, this is Leah Whitehorse, and in this recording I'm going to be looking at the astrology of January 2024. So before I go into exploring this month, I just wanted to let you know, in case you haven't seen it yet, I have put up a video which explores the entire astrology for 2024, looking at the year ahead, looking at all the major themes. So that video is already up and I will put the link below so you can have a look at that as well. So coming to this first month of the new year, we are going to be going through a lot of changes because we're going to have Pluto changing signs. We are going to have Uranus changing direction, and we are also going to have a lot of activation of the nodal axis. So the north node currently in Aries, the south node currently in Libra. There's going to be a lot of activity that connects with these points that are associated with our karmic journey. So we begin on the 2nd of January with Mercury stationing direct. It's funny because I'm actually recording this on the 13th of December, literally just as Mercury is stationing retrograde. So I feel like I'm projecting myself into the future here, getting past this Mercury retrograde. Microsoft have just asked me, would you like to do an update on your laptop? And the answer, of course, was no. I'm going to be leaving that until Mercury is direct. So Mercury stations direct on the 2nd of January, but he will still be in the shadow zone till around the 21st of January. So just to be aware, it's going to take a little bit of time until all of this entire process is completed. On the 4th of January, we will have Mars moving into Capricorn. So this is a really positive transit because Mars is considered to be exalted in Capricorn. I think this is an interesting mix of energies because Mars is about our drive and our will, our strength, our energy. And Capricorn is a very disciplined sign, so we can get the idea of a very disciplined soldier who is going to accomplish his mission no matter what. So all of us get a boost of this kind of very disciplined, dedicated energy that is helping us to accomplish our goals, to get to where we want to be. So Mars in Capricorn is a good place to start, especially at the beginning of the year when many of us either have New Year's resolutions or just simply a plan for the year ahead. So this is getting us off onto a good start because we're using our energy very carefully and constructively and working to a plan. Mars in Capricorn is very good at sticking to the plan that we've already thought about, the structures we've already put into place. Now we can just get things done, do the actual work. This is like putting our muscles into motion. On the 7th of January, we're going to have Pluto forming a trine to Sedna. So this is important. I have mentioned it in other readings. I also talked about it in the reading for 2024 as well. But basically what is happening here is that this is the third of 7 trines between Pluto and Sedna. But it is the last of the trines that's going to take place whilst Pluto is in Capricorn and Sedna is in Taurus. So it definitely feels like there's some kind of concluding factor during this series of trines between Pluto and Sedna. Of course, they are on these anaretic degrees, which means that there is some sense of things feel quite critical. The pressure to change, to transform, or to regenerate our structures and institutions, the way things have always been done, the changes to our traditions, Pluto in Capricorn, is somehow dependent upon or connected with the way we use our resources. So this is Sedna in Taurus. Sedna in Taurus has been speaking about the evolution of how we use our resources, what we consider to be resources, and also what we consider to be valuable. We may be talking about money matters as well with this trine between Pluto and Sedna. And Sedna always pushes us to kind of move past the things that didn't work. She's associated with the victim archetype, but through her sort of experience of betrayal, she eventually changes into something much more powerful. She becomes a goddess of the sea. So we too have an opportunity to look at what hasn't worked, where we might have betrayed each other, betrayed the earth. The sign Taurus is associated with the earth, or just kind of betrayed ourselves by not using our resources in the way we should do. So now we've got this opportunity to change all of this with Pluto and find our power. Find our true power, take control so that we can have better security for everybody moving forwards. On the 10th of January, we will have Mars forming a sextile to Saturn. So as I said, Mars is in Capricorn, and Saturn, of course, is the ruler of Capricorn. So again, we get this boost of energy that is mediated by this very disciplined, structured approach. It feels like there's a lot of emphasis on working on long-term plans, long-term goals, long-term objectives. We need to take this seriously. And then on the 11th of January, we will have the Sun forming a square to the nodes. So the Sun also still in Capricorn, squaring the South Node in Libra and the North Node in Eris. This is important because often when the Sun is square to the nodes, it can sometimes be accompanied by disruptive events out in the world. So sometimes this can be connected to conflicts. Sometimes it can be connected to major weather events or planetary events. Things get a little bit wobbly sometimes when the Sun is square to the nodes. Now, for all of us, more generally speaking, we have this idea that we've got some kind of missed step that is being illuminated by the Sun. And maybe because it's in Capricorn now, the misstep is associated with this idea of taking responsibility, being accountable, not in the way that kind of makes you feel small and makes you feel like it's all your fault. It's more just like, where can I take some responsibility, or where do I need to be better accountable, more accountable for my actions, with Mars also there up in Capricorn. Where do I need to be more responsible and accountable so that I can get past these blocks, or this kind of sitting on the fence with the South Node in Libra, or this tendency to try to please all the people all the time? What will it take to move forwards the North Node in Aries with confidence, with feeling strong, to take the initiative, to take the lead? What will that take? The Sun in Capricorn says what it will take is being responsible, being accountable, being disciplined, having plans in place, structuring, adulting, all these kinds of things. So it feels a little heavy, but also it can help to really ground us, as well as help us to feel more authentic and more kind of full of integrity. You know, integrity is something that suggests a strength. So having integrity is a strength. Right on the back of this, we will have the new moon in Capricorn. So this happens on the same day, the 11th of January. So the moon will join the Sun. Both of them, therefore, will be square to the node. So it feels like it's a very important new start that we have here, that is going to push us past this resistance to change. We also have, on the same day, Eris stationing direct. Now, we had a long period of time last year, towards the end of last year, around November, December time, where Eris was hanging out on the North Node, really signalling that there is all this discord that needs to be faced. And depending on the orbs we might want to use for Eris, I do tend to use a little bit of a wider orb for Eris now because she is a big minor planet. So she is there still hanging out on the North Node, 4 degrees away or just under 4 degrees away. So we're kind of being shown now that something is turning around. Maybe all of this discord, disharmony, the struggles that we were experiencing towards the end of last year, now perhaps we're seeing more clearly what this was about, why this was happening. And now we're perhaps, with all the Capricorn emphasis, with the moon and sun in Capricorn and Mars and of course Pluto, we're getting a strong push to almost like, I want to say, get it together, to master this once and for all, to sort this out once and for all. Mars will then form a trine to Jupiter. This is on the 12th of January. So yes, a real boost of energy here. And this is also speaking about acts of faith, believing in what you're doing. When you believe in what you do, everything feels much easier. You have more staying power. Things are more sustainable when you believe in what you're doing. Mercury will then enter Capricorn on the 14th of January. So this is Mercury re-entering Capricorn. He's already been over these degrees because he's stationed in Capricorn in December. So now we're just revisiting these ideas or these conversations that we were having, perhaps based around our career or professional issues. Maybe we've been talking about long-term plans and we've been doing a lot of thinking about these and reviewing these. Now we're coming back to it with a fresh perspective. We've learned more because Mercury had this retrograde period back in Sagittarius. So we've learned more and we've shifted our perspective. Now we revisit these original ideas with a much more realistic outlook. So this is Mercury going back into Capricorn. On the 20th of January, the Sun will then conjoin Pluto in Capricorn on that final degree, that anaretic degree. So the spotlight is on Pluto. The question is, what is your personal power? What is in your control? How can you use this knowledge? How can you best use your power? What can you take control of in your life? Obviously, as well, there are things that we cannot control. So the Sun is spotlighting these things too. The things that we can't control is the powers that be, the people at the top, the institutions, the powerful Pluto. There are some people who have more power than we have. These are the people that tend to make the rules. And we can't do anything to change that. How do we respond to that? How do you respond to the things that you cannot change? Because that will dictate how powerful we feel. So the Sun illuminates Pluto, puts all the focus on this massive regeneration that's been going on, and then the Sun moves into Aquarius, beginning Aquarius season. So now the light is on when it comes to our society, our groups, our friendships, how we are intellectualizing about things, how we are looking to things as far as the future is concerned. What do we think our future is going to be like? The Sun illuminates all these areas. It illuminates whether or not we feel free or how free we feel. It illuminates where we feel that we need some kind of liberation or we need some kind of space. And then Pluto will also follow suit, going into Aquarius on the 21st of January. Now, I've already spoken extensively about Pluto in Aquarius in a series of videos I posted on my account here on YouTube. I will put the links below so you have a full video on the entire story of Pluto in Aquarius. And then there's also videos that talk about Pluto in Aquarius through the houses for the signs. So there's horoscopes there as well. I've also talked about it in the Astrology for 2024 video. But just to briefly recap, Pluto in Aquarius speaks of the changes we are going to go through as a society, as humanity. The future is going to look very different by the time Pluto has finished in Aquarius around the mid-2040s. We are just getting started. And in fact, this is just another preview because Pluto will go back into Capricorn one more time. It will go back into Capricorn in September, and then it will move properly into Aquarius in November this year. So we have another preview of Pluto in Aquarius. It's going to change society. It's going to regenerate society. It's going to bring in themes around technology and people power. Do we revolt against the powers that be? This is Pluto in Aquarius. Maybe there is a rebellious energy here that changes everything. Or is it more to do with control of society? Pluto, the powers trying to control through surveillance and these kinds of things. These are some of the themes. We have the idea of new sources of power as well. So whether that means some kind of literal power that replaces the technologies that we use now. As I'm recording this, there has just been this kind of vague agreement at COP28 that finally they will start doing away with fossil fuels. But I'm noting that that decision was actually as Mercury was stationing in Capricorn, stationing retrograde in Capricorn. So I don't know how much that decision will hold. And also there's a lot of conversation about it being a little weak as far as the sort of plan for moving towards more sustainable energy sources. So again, a lot of these themes are going to be revisited as Pluto goes into Aquarius, and we just need to watch for signs, and that will give us a clue. It'll give us some foreshadowing of what is going to happen in the future. We've already had some suggestions of themes moving forwards when Pluto was first in Aquarius. So this is around sort of end of March through to June 2023. We had lots and lots of stories about things in the sky, unknown things in the sky. And since then, the conversation about aliens and life on other planets and all that kind of stuff and UFOs has really exploded, but it kind of started with Pluto moving into Aquarius. So maybe we'll get a little bit more conversation around these kinds of things as well, but there might also be other themes. Just watch the news, or in fact, if you don't like watching the news, you can just watch the headlines. It's really interesting to see how the headlines change according to what is happening in the skies. Even the wording sometimes really reflects the movements of the planets. So Pluto moves into Aquarius. It's going to be lit up by the sun, with the sun having just gone into Aquarius as well. And then on the 23rd of January, we will have Venus will move into Capricorn. So this is interesting that we have all the emphasis on Aquarius, the sun moving into Aquarius, Pluto moving into Aquarius. But the personal planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars, are all hanging out in Capricorn. Maybe there's a feeling of almost like being left behind, or a fear of being left behind. So we're working really hard on these goals and objectives, and we're thinking and talking a lot about our long-term plans. And now Venus comes in and says, I want to explore these long-term relationships. And when it comes to relationships, I want commitment. That is Capricorn energy. This is not messing about. This is the kinds of relationships where we work at being in love. We don't just kind of expect it to be all dandy for the rest of our lives just because we love one another. Venus in Capricorn knows that relationships take work. This can also speak of the relationship we have with ourselves, to love ourselves enough to give ourselves the respect that we deserve. Capricorn is associated with the idea of respect. It's also connected with reputation as well. It's up here at the top of the chart, out there in the world. It's why the 10th house in the natal chart is connected with our career. It's who we are out there. So there's a lot of focus on who we are out there in the world. What am I contributing? What do I have to offer? Do I value what I have to offer? Am I working hard on this? Am I talking about it in realistic terms? These are all the questions that are coming up with Venus and Mercury and Mars all in Capricorn, whilst we're getting this huge push to start changing the future or doing something to take control of the future. Interesting energies. We're then going to have Mars square to Chiron. This is on the 25th of January. So we just need to watch this. It kind of feels like maybe we hit a bit of a stumbling block. Maybe we suddenly feel a bit disarmed, perhaps because of all these stories that are in play, this fear of being left behind. It's all happening too slowly. Capricorn is a slow-moving energy. Eris, where Chiron is fast. Mars rules Eris, so it wants to move quickly. We want to move quickly, and it feels like maybe we feel like I'm going to come to some harm if I don't get this sorted out right away. Or my wounds, my injuries, my life's injuries are going to end up kind of getting the better of me. So we're feeling a bit vulnerable with Mars square to Chiron, but maybe the point is we need to know our vulnerabilities. We need to know our weak points, because we all have them physically, mentally, emotionally. We all have some triggers. We all have weak points. We all have wounds and scars. But the positive here is that the best of Mars in Capricorn would say, okay, I see you. I see that you have this wound. I see you have this problem. So let's look at a long-term plan to work on this. How can we shore up our defenses? How can we set better boundaries? How can we take action to heal this? Maybe we need to engage somebody who has some experience of some kind that's going to help me with this, a mentor, a doctor, or a healer, anybody who has the kinds of skills we're looking for to make sure that we're using the best of our strengths, but also have this awareness of our weak points so we can get stronger, or we can protect those parts of ourselves if necessary. So Mars square to Chiron is a little bit prickly, but it also could be really, really useful. We will also have a full moon on this date as well. So emotions are kind of uppermost. We want to be seen. Full moon in Leo. We want to be seen, we want to be playful, we want to be creative, we want to take some risks in life. However, this full moon, because the sun is still close to Pluto, is opposing Pluto and therefore activating Pluto. It's bringing it to life. So now we're really getting a sense that we've got to make some changes. This is Pluto. To our priorities. This is with Aquarius. We have to change some of our priorities, which may, with this full moon, make us feel like we can't take risks, or we're not allowed to be ourselves, or we're not allowed to express our creative side. So there's a bit of a sense of feeling overshadowed. Maybe we're all feeling a little overshadowed by some of these very potent and powerful shifts that are going on in the collective, in society, and perhaps in the sort of halls of power in political circles as well. So we're kind of feeling a little overshadowed around this lunation. And then on the 27th of January, we'll have Uranus stationing direct. Now, Uranus is in Taurus. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, so it is now the dispositor of Pluto. And my feeling was, especially as it comes on the back of the full moon in Leo, was it's like it's saying, let's get this show on the road. Let's get things moving. Now let's start to really change things. Because Uranus in Taurus has been telling us that if we want more freedom, we are going to have to change things. We're going to have to change how we use our resources, what resources we have. We're going to have to change the way we use money or what we consider to be valuable. All these kinds of things are happening, and it's trying to free up energy here. But a lot of the time we can feel destabilized because Taurus likes to be comfortable. Taurus likes to do the same thing every single day, to take the same route to work, to eat the same lunch or a small variation of that. It likes to know what's coming because that feels safe, that feels secure. Why change it, says Taurus, when this is working? But Uranus in Taurus is saying, hello, it's not really working. These values, these ways of using the earth, these monetary systems, it's not creating more security, it's creating insecurity. So as Uranus changes direction, it starts moving forwards again, we start to get this impetus that we need to free ourselves from some of the comforts that we've enjoyed in Taurus so that we can have something better in the future, so that we can have something that is more radical, more unique, more even up to date with Uranus. So this change of direction is important, and it is uniquely tied up with Pluto's move into Aquarius. It feels like some of the first things we're thinking about is some kind of radical shift as far as our values are concerned. Now, the end of the month is characterized by Mercury conjunct Mars, square to the nodes, and trine to Uranus. So basically, we're going to have some kind of issue here where we've got this heated debate or heated conversation, Mercury conjunct Mars, which is speaking about our stability, our traditions, our infrastructure, our rules, our authorities. There is some kind of dynamic conversation happening here because it's in Capricorn, and it needs to happen because we need to get past, once again, these blocks, the things that have stopped us from moving forwards, the things that have stopped us from feeling confident and strong and motivated. The things that have blocked us are connected with old relationships, with old peace deals, with old agreements. Something needs to shift, and it's talking about long-term changes. It's interesting. I don't know if you can hear, but there's hammering going on whilst I'm talking about this. And it's like Mercury and Mars are saying we're trying to hammer the details out, or we're trying to hammer something home. And with that trying to Uranus, it feels like because Uranus is just stationed direct, it's like everything seems to be really focused on how we're going to change things as far as our financial systems are concerned, because there are problems in these structures. We know this. Mercury conjunct Mars is saying we need to have something more dynamic. We need to have something more freeing. Maybe there is something that we need to do. We need to take action. We need to make this decision because there is some kind of destabilization around the markets or connected with banking. Whatever it is, whatever the crisis or the breakthrough, we could also say a breakthrough of some kind, whatever's happening around this period, the purpose is to push us past this blocked karma, this lesson that we didn't get before. Now we're getting it. Now we're starting to see it. We're talking about it. We're thinking about it. It's like razor sharp with Mars. And Mars trine to Uranus, the month ends on this on the 29th of January. Mars trine to Uranus is like a freedom fighter. We're fighting for our freedom. We are taking action on these innovative ideas. Mercury trine Uranus. And all of this is helping us to take responsibility, which is Capricorn, which is what we needed to do, because that's the way to move past this stalemate where on the surface things might have looked good. This is Libra. On the surface, things look good. We try to, dust all the surfaces, but inside the drawers, they're really messy. That's a kind of description of a shadowy Libra. You try to make it look good on the surface. You try to brush the rubbish under the carpet, but we can't do that anymore. And all these squares to the nodal axis during January, along with the movement of Pluto into Aquarius, is telling us the future has to and will look different. So now it's time to take responsibility so that we don't end up in these compromised positions. We've been compromised for too long, says the South Node in Libra, whereas the North Node in Eris says there are strengths that we are discovering that maybe we didn't know we had. So once we take control, once we take responsibility, we'll really see what we can do. This concludes my reading for January 2024. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please do click a like, leave a comment. If you are interested in hearing more from me, I do have a Patreon if you would like to support this channel. I also have a Substack as well, so there are free options or paid options on both of those. I also write daily updates on my Facebook and Instagram, and also I have a website for those who don't like to use social media, so all these links are below. I hope to see you in one of these other places, and in the meantime, I wish you many blessings on your path.